Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Angler Creek. The last 5 or so episodes have all been centered around getting Riverside started, and I wanted to take a small excursion outside of the city and do a one-off build. So today we're going to be working on some custom campgrounds. I was kind of interested to see what we could do with the natural scene with the new revision decals. There are a lot of grass and dirt decals and some path decals that I used extensively in this build to give it a more natural feel. Overall, I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. Maybe later we'll go back and add more, who knows, but for now I think this is a pretty complete build. Right now we're just doing the foundational stages. I'm just going through and kind of just randomly placing some little tents, to figure out where I want the campgrounds to be that are going to be sort of placed all around these forests here. And then later on I'll add the paths that will connect them, and then all of the ground decals and trees and everything that connects it all. And I think this method turned out pretty good. It's kind of weird at first to try to visualize it, when you just have this flat plane with a bunch of random tents, everywhere. It's a little bit difficult to visualize the scale, I suppose, of everything when you do it this way. But I think the end product ended up turning out pretty nice in the end, so I'm happy. And I'll be adding a couple more campgrounds other than this. This is just kind of the first little phase here, and then I eventually add more as time goes on. Got some dirt parking lots here that I'm making. We just got 2 different dirt parking lots that will allow people to park their car, whenever they go camping here. I figured it probably was a little bit too far out of the way for them to have, some really big asphalt parking lots. Although some campgrounds do have those, so it's not totally out of the question. But I figured some dirt parking lots would do just fine for the size and scale of this build. And I think it looks pretty nice. It looks pretty unique. We don't have a whole lot of dirt parking lots in Angler Creek, if any, really. So it's kind of just a unique little thing that we could place in here. We're gonna get some of these fences around here. I really like this specific fence type. I think it's really fitting for these sort of like rural, sort of out of the way of the city sort of areas. Just a really simple fence. So I really like that. Here now, I'm just experimenting a little bit more with some of those dirt decals and ground decals that we got with the Real Vision decal pack, and just trying to see what I can do to spice up this little area a little bit more, because the surfaces are nice, but it's also nice to just get just a little bit more variation with the decal packs. I think it's easier to sort of blend things with this. So we start seeing we're getting like quite a bit of variation and an interesting texture and stuff like that just from putting these decal packs down. I think this parking lot is turning out pretty nice pretty quickly. I found this little decal here that kind of looks like the gravel road, or the dirt road is just kind of spreading out a little bit. And then we got some here on the edges, make it look like it kind of goes into the parking lot in a smooth manner. So stuff like that I really like. Just adding some little campground signs and some other random props and stuff in there. We're gonna get some trees in, just some random trees to sort of line this parking lot. Some are inside the fence, some are outside the fence. It just depends. I feel like this is, once you start adding the trees, this is when it really starts coming together. All of a sudden, everything seems to just really fit in. And add a little power line. We're gonna have a couple of buildings around here that are gonna need some power, so we'll need a little power line, connecting all this up. Got this little sort of what I assume is probably some sort of like convenience store. Maybe you'll be able to go in there and buy like a snack or water bottle or soda or something like that, or maybe like some random little gadget or something that you need for hiking or for camping or something like that. So I've seen these a lot. A lot of the times they'll have in these sort of campgrounds that you see that are more, they're not out in the middle of nowhere. You're not going to be hiking for like 20 miles out in the middle of nowhere to get to a campground like this. This is more of like a safe sort of family campground. And so a lot of these places will have little buildings and businesses and stuff in them where you can go and buy a couple things if you need to. It's not really the point of a campground like this isn't really to go, you know, out in the middle of out in the middle of nowhere and fend for yourself. It's more to, you know, just to sort of get out in nature a little bit, but still be comfortable. So here's when I start using these for trail decals, which I think look really nice, and they work really well within the context of, you know, what we got going on here, and also the decal pack, because a lot of the decals, you know, you can place over this and it won't overlay over the path, so you can pretty easily layer other ground decals as well with this trail path. So I had a really good time using these trail paths. It's kind of like a unique shape, so you can kind of blend them together, and it's kind of an interesting little puzzle to figure out how you can naturally, you know, get these to blend together to get, you know, go to all the little areas that you need to. So now I'm just kind of experimenting with, you know, some of these ground decals that I haven't really used, or, you know, haven't really used in a big area. I think, you know, it's pretty easy to use these whenever it's in like a small backyard and there's not a whole lot of space to fill. But when you're out here, you know, and you got this huge, you know, area to fill, it becomes a lot more difficult to figure out how you want to fill this area out and how you want to blend all these decals together and whatnot. So it proved an interesting challenge for sure to try to figure out, you know, how I wanted to color the ground here. I really liked placing these sort of muddy, grassy decals like on the sides of the trails. I was doing that a lot. I tried not to do it everywhere because I wanted it to have, you know, a little bit of variation, but I was placing those a lot on the sides because I think it blends really well with the sort of green grass that you find on the outside of that trail decal. We've got, you know, just some fallen leaf decals as well. Right here I'm just kind of experimenting with some of these grass textures and seeing, you know, what works, what doesn't. Some of this doesn't work, some of this does. A lot of it's going to get covered up with trees, so the little fine details don't really matter that much whenever the trees come in. But, you know, just kind of seeing what I can do. You see, I ended up just filling up a lot of this area with the fallen leaf texture, because that fallen leaf texture is fantastic. It's really good. I like it a lot. But I decided I was just going to go through and add the trees first, and then in the areas where I could still see the ground pretty well, and then I was going to add decals there, because if I added decals everywhere, especially in places that we're not going to be seeing because the trees cover them up, I'm just going to take my performance for no reason. You don't want to add too many decals because it will start lowering your frame rate, so you have to be a little bit budget friendly on the decal placing. So I'm just going through and adding the trees, trying to give, you know, a decent amount of open space for these campgrounds. Some of them bigger than others. I think some of them, you know, you might want to have like sort of a secluded little campground that, you know, doesn't really have much space in between the trees. And then I think there's other campgrounds, you know, where people want to be able to spread out and they want to be able to have like a large area, you know, and things like that. So you want to add variety for these different things. And so that's what I was trying to do. here I decided to add like a little RV park here. I just wanted to add like a little bit of variation to this area, you know, give it some more unique little areas. So we got the camping area, we got the parking area, and I was like, you know what? Usually these places will have like a little RV parking area, you know, where people that own RVs can park, and sometimes people just camp out of them. Sometimes they drive them over and then they'll go and get a camping spot later, you know, it just depends. But so I'm just placing those. Some of them, you know, maybe they already dropped their truck off somewhere else. Maybe the truck is still connected, so you know you have a couple with the trucks connected, and just trying to get the color variation going, using the recolor mod to just get some of these in different colors, because they were all just kind of blue beforehand. Ever since I have installed the vehicle color variation mod, which I really enjoy for the actual cars that drive around, but ever since I installed that mod, I've noticed that a lot of the prop cars end up being like the same color. So there's some sort of little issue with that, but that's okay. I can recolor them manually. So I just made this, you know, little RV park here, and it turned out pretty good. Didn't have to put too much detail into it. Just put some surfaces down, some trees down, put a couple props down, you know, to just give it a little variety and kind of simulate what I was talking about, how maybe some people are camping out of their RVs, so maybe they got like a little like campfire and they got a little bench and stuff to sit outside on, things like that, you know. So now I'm just going through and adding in some extra random props, you know, just doing some tables and some campfires and things like that. Like I said, this isn't like a, you know, wilderness camping area. This is more of like a family camping area. So there's going to be a lot of amenities here, you know. So that's just kind of the vibe of this place. So here we just got a little lake that I wanted to make. I wanted to make some sort of water feature. I was thinking maybe a river would be nice. You know, you could have like a river with a little wooden bridge going over it or something like that. And I might still add a river or something like that later, but I figured, you know, a lake would be pretty nice, and it would provide, you know, more of a reason for there being a campground here. You know, if it had some sort of water feature or something that people wanted to go to. You know, you'll find campgrounds out in the woods, you know, without much going on, but I think adding, you know, just little extra points of interest in this area is always nice, you know, for the overall build and composition and everything. Added like a little island in the middle there. There's not going to be anything on that island other than just like trees and stuff, but you know, I think it works out pretty nicely in the end. So there's a lot of interest in this area for people who want to go camping. You know, you've got the cliffs on the outskirts there, the campgrounds, you know, that maybe people might like rappel down or something like that. I've seen people doing that at campgrounds before, where, you know, they're just rappelling down a little cliff or something like that. You go swimming in the lake, you go fishing, probably some fish in the lake there maybe. So, you know, there's a decent amount of things to get up to here. And if anything else fails, you know, then you can always just, you know, roast some marshmallows over the fire. Just filling in with some more trees. And this is going to be, I think, about the last thing that we build for this build. So I'm just going to fill it out with some more trees. I'm going to, you know, just do what I did last time, get some tents down and, you know, some other little props and stuff down to sort of just seat this all in and get it all looking quite nice and detailed. And I think that's gonna be about it. I think I had a couple of extra things, but we will see. I really like these little like wooden tents that they have. Not sure how they would work specifically. You know, you think that if you were going to be sleeping in there, you'd want like a tarp on the front to block out, you know, any wildlife, or maybe if it's raining, you know, you'd want like, you know, a door there to keep the water out or something. But maybe, you know, people could bring a tarp of their own, I guess, if they were going to use one of those wooden tents. But I think they look pretty nice, given the environment and everything. I'm just finishing off with some trees, just make sure this place is all nice and lush and wild looking. Got that little ruin over there that was just placed on the map naturally. I didn't place that down. Figured might as well keep it, you know, it's pretty well hidden in the trees and stuff like that. I might, you know, go walking and do a hike and all of a sudden you find some ruins. That's interesting. Anyways, that's going to be it for this video. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you have any suggestions for anything I could add to this campground. But yeah, I want to thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, I would appreciate a like. And if you want to see more, consider subscribing. I'll see you all in the next one.